In this video, you're going to learn about the Web Accessibility Hotlinks project. So your final Web Accessibility Hotlinks page is going to look something like this. It will have a title up top, and then it will have some named anchors. These, when you click on, allow you to jump down to other parts of the page. Information about who created the page, learner description, and then a couple of sections. Now below the learner description, there's an information block called What is Web Accessibility? And this information block just briefly describes what is web accessibility. This information block is intentionally brief just to give a quick overview without digging too deep into the information. In the information block, we have two absolute links. An absolute link is a link to an external website. You'll notice that the full path, the URL, has HTTP, www, etc. So it's the full path, so it's an absolute link. And here's another one. And you'll notice that this one's going to a file called checklist.php. This one actually does not list the file, so it's going to either an index.html page or a default.html page. We will learn later in the course more about default pages. So after the information introductory block, there's three other blocks you'll see that have information to specific tools. The first one's accessibility evaluation tools, the next one's tips and tools, and the last one is color and contrast tools. These are annotated absolute links, so they are absolute links that go to an external site, but then there's a quick description that explains what the link is. Because sometimes just a list of links isn't that helpful without giving the user some more information of why they might want to check out that external link. So why should I care about what Wave is? Well, it's a free online web accessibility evaluation tool. Okay, well that gives me, the user, information and reason to want to click that external link to check it out. While this specific project is focused on web accessibility, you can imagine how you could use the same kind of template or format to really cover almost any topic. So for instance, if you wanted to create a one-page site on social networking, you could describe what is social networking and then have some tools and maybe some documents of what people need to be worried about privacy and other things. I mean, the list would go on, but you could follow the same kind of template. So this project is focused on web accessibility, but at the same time, what we want you to do is learn how to use named anchor links like these that allow you to jump down in the page, or here's one back to the top. We also want you to get practice with absolute links. And so you'll notice that in this example there are two that are fully typed out, but down here you'll notice that these we actually just have a bit of text that actually are hyperlinking to an external site. And so when I mouse over it at the bottom, you can see what the URL is to these links. So your hot links page can cover any aspect of web accessibility. We do not want you just to copy and paste the text way up here. You have to decide what aspect of web accessibility do you want to talk about, and then have these major elements, a place where you give a basic summary and then where you give some annotated links and tools to other resources related to that topic. For instance, you could just focus on screen readers and have a web accessibility hotlinks page just focused on screen readers. Or another idea is you could focus on browser tools, and you could talk about how browser tools can be used for accessibility and then give links to tools and things explaining about how browser tools can be used for accessibility purposes. So with that in mind, have fun. Just pick some topic under the broad area of web accessibility and create your hot links page, which is basically going to be an information page for other users. We hope you have fun with this assignment. Now I'm going to take a few minutes and show you how I created essentially this page that you're looking at right now. So I'm going to spend a few minutes showing you how to create a web accessibility hotlinks page. Now with that in mind, the goal is not for you to copy exactly what I've done, but rather for you to see how it is done. The idea is for you to write your own code and create your own page from scratch. So with Dreamweaver open, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a page. I'm going to create a new file and I'm going to save it. And I'm going to save it in my 502 folder, and I'm going to save it as accessibility.html. So after I save it, I'm going to give it a title, Accessibility Hot Links. You notice that when I type it up there, it populates right here. And I'm just going to do a file save, and I try to save my document continually throughout. You also keep in mind I have that HTML5 doc type up there. And so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a container. So in split view, I'm going to put my cursor right next to body. I'm going to hit enter, and I'm going to go to insert, layout, div tag, and I'm going to call this container and hit OK. So there I have a container. Now if we look at the example, and if you remember, HTML5 has those new tags such as a header, navigation, sections, and footer tag that could all be used here. And so I'm going to, in this case, these anchor links I could put them in a navigation tag, but in this case I'm just going to use a header tag, section tag for each one of the sections, and then a footer tag. And so now that I showed you how to do the insert, layout, div, I'm going to just hand code the rest of these. So I'm going to make sure that I'm within this container div, and I can always throughout apply source formatting if I want to try to clean it up. But I'm going to do a header tag. I'm just going to give myself some text that I know what goes there, and then I'm going to do a section, another section. I'm going to do 4 of these. And then a footer tag. I'm going to do a file save. So now within the header tag, I'm going to highlight there, make sure I'm within it, and I'm just going to type in my information. In this case, I already have it, so I'm just going to paste it. But I have my title here. I have the text that I'm going to use for my named anchors. I have the author information, learner description, and that looks good. I'm going to continue on and fill out the information, the text for each of the following areas. And then now I'm going to fill in the footer information text. So now for the footer, I'm going to first put in the copyright sign. So if I go to Insert, HTML, Special Characters, I will see the copyright. I'm going to do a file save. And so right now I have all of my information in here. And so this is when I can start applying some basic styles to the page. So the first thing I'm going to do now is add some styles to the body tag. So I'm going to click anywhere on my page, make sure body's selected, and I'm going to hit the plus sign under my CSS panels. In this case, it actually pulled up, it thinks I want to style paragraph tag within body, and actually I'm just interested in body, so I'm going to change that. Or I could just go down here and go to tag, and I could find the body tag. So I want this in external style sheet. I'm going to hit OK. And so it prompts me to save my external style sheet. So I'm going to call it accessibility and hit save. And so the first thing I'm going to do is choose a background color. And in this case, I know the color I'm going to use. So I hit apply so I can start seeing it take shape. I'm going to then choose my font family, Arial. So I'm going to set my font to 100%. I'm going to change my line height to 1.5 M. Alright. And then I'm going to choose a color. In this case, I know the color that I want of my font. I'm going to hit apply. That looks good. So just like that, I'm going to hit OK. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to style my container, because I put all of this in a box, if you will, that I called container. And so there's container, and I want it to be in the external sheet. I select OK. That looks good. And so I'm going to go down to box, and I'm going to change the width, so 46M. Hit apply, and I'm going to adjust my margins. So I'm going to do my right and left. I'm going to do auto, so it will center this div container. Hit apply, and now I'm going to change my background color. Okay, I'm going to hit apply so I can start to see that take shape. Forgot I actually want to add some padding. So I jump back here to box, and my padding, I'm going to actually have it be 10 pixels all the way around. Now I'm going to select border, and I'm going to add a border because I want my container to have a nice border. So if you look at the example, this border here, that's what I'm about to do. So in this one, I'm going to choose double. Width, I'm going to actually choose value, so I'm going to put 2 pixels. And for the color, I'm going to actually just type this in 333333. I could always shorten this because they're all the same values, and I'm going to hit apply, and then I'm going to hit OK. Okay, so now I'm going to work on my headings. So I'm going to use an H1 for the title and H2 for my others. And so in this case, I'm just focused on my HTML. So I'm going to highlight Web Accessibility. I'm going to choose H1. I'm going to go down to my other level 2 headings. In this case, I can see in split view that a paragraph tag was entered in there when I copied and pasted. So I remove that. I'm going to add H2 here. And actually, I'm going to look up here and make sure I don't have a paragraph tag. I don't, or on that one. So I'm going to go down to my other one here. I'm going to remove this paragraph tag. And that's what happens when you copy and paste, so beware. The next one, okay, I'm going to do a save all, and then now I'm going to style these. So I'm going to click on here, make sure I have H1 selected, and I'm going to hit new rule, and I'm going to actually be less specific. I want to make sure it's saved in the external style sheet, and I'm going to focus on my font size. So in this case, because I had my body font 100%, now this is based on the 100%, and hit apply. I'm going to add a color, hit apply, and I'm going to hit OK. So there's my H1. Now I'm going to go down to my H2 tag. So I clicked on H2 and I hit the plus sign, and I'm going to say less specific. I want it to be accessibility. Hit OK. Here I'm going to do font size 1.2 em. I'm going to choose a background color, and then my actual font color I'm going to use as a white. So you notice that what I just did was I'm going to hit apply, and you can see is it just put that box around it. And here, let me click OK if you get the full effect, and there. So you can see what that just did. And I can actually add some more padding if I want to add more white space. So I'd be able to click on the H2 tag, click on the pencil to edit, and this is where I could come up and add some padding. So I could, maybe I just want to add something really light. And so just like that, that added some padding. And so let's save all. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make these hyperlinks here. And so there's a couple ways you can do this in Dreamweaver. In this case, I'm going to highlight that, and I'm going to go down to the Properties Inspector. If you can't see it, you can always go up to Window. I'm going to paste it in there, and for accessibility, I'm going to give a title. While I normally would actually have a target to blank, for accessibility purposes, it's best actually not to have it, so I'm going to leave that. So another way in Dreamweaver you can add a link, I'm going to get rid of that, is if I have the Insert panel, I can go to Hyperlink, or I can go to Insert, Hyperlink, and they give you the same thing. You could type in the text, the link. You would then want to give a title text for accessibility. Something like that. In this case, for accessibility purposes, we're going to leave target as is. I'm going to hit OK. So when looking at the example, and you'll see a lot of other links, I'm just going to go through and create a few of these just so you can see how I would do that. For instance, where it says Cynthia Says Portal, and I want to link to that website, I would simply highlight it down in the Properties Inspector and add the title text. And then for the 508 standards, to link to that, just like the example and so forth, I would just highlight the text that I want to link to, type it in there, and add the title text. And you get the idea. You just continue on adding links throughout. And so the last thing we're going to focus on with links is how to make these name anchors work. There's actually a couple ways that you could do this in Dreamweaver. And so the way that I'm doing it, because you can also use it later to style things, is I'm going to go down to the second heading, because that's my first link, Accessible Evaluation Tools. I'm going to make sure I'm in Source Code View. And in my H2 tag, I'm going to have ID equals evaluation. So then, if I come up to here, I can highlight this text that I want to make a link, type pound evaluation. Oops, you can see it didn't get the S because I didn't have that highlighted. I could undo, or in this case, I'm just going to move the S right in there, just like that. So I'm going to save this in live, and I click on accessibility, and there it goes. So let's go back and so you can see it again. So I'm going to follow the same things with going to Tools and Tips. Highlight Tools and Tips. I'm going to get out of Live View. Highlight Tools and Tips. Good practice to add some title text there. And I believe I forgot to do that for the previous one. And now for the last one, I could follow the same process. ID equals, we'll say color, and that will be ultimately what I will do just to be consistent with the other. But one thing that you can always do too is if I get outside of my H tag, I can always use the under insert named anchor or insert named anchor, and you'll even see the shortcut key. But so if I go over here, named anchor, it does it a little differently. It still gives it a place where if I then, you can see it adds an anchor in there, but if I go to the top, it essentially does the same thing. I would then add the title, and I'm going to save all, and just check that out in Live View. And you see it does the same thing, just different ways of doing it. So last but not least, back to top, I want to make that be able to jump to the top. So I'm essentially just going to go in here. I'm going to type in ID equals top. Scroll down. Highlight. I have to get out of Live View. If you ever notice that the property inspector is like that, it gives a clue that you're in Live View. Save all, Live View, let's see if this works. And it does. So just a few more things I need to do to get it closer to this page. I need to work on the stuff in my header. Need to add some CSS for my section and my footer tag, and then we'll validation. So for the top, I'm just going to highlight this, and in this case I'm going to hit the plus sign, and I'm going to do a class this time. I'm going to call this small text. I'm going to make it an external CSS file, and I'm just going to choose 0.9 M for my font size. My line height I'm going to make 1.1, and that looks good. Now I'm going to highlight this and actually get out of Live View there. I did it again. Highlight this and make sure I click CSS under the Properties Inspector, and I'm going to apply that. So then I'm going to do a couple more things here, and this, just to change it up, I'm going to go in here and I'm going to, first thing, I'm going to clean up my source, then I'm going to add a comment. In a previous video I mentioned that sometimes people actually just comment out as they create. So I know I need to add a footer. And some people, because the section happens first and the footer next, will do their CSS actually in that order. And so there I have my header, my section, and my footer, my HTML5 tags. And so in this case, rather than using the CSS panels, I'm just going to type right in here. And always make sure that you have your opening and closing curly braces. Often when you're hand coding, you'll forget or accidentally delete closing brace, or sometimes you'll actually have duplicate ones, and make sure you always have this little semicolon. And so then the footer, I'm going to actually do a couple things with the footer. So I'm going to actually click down here in footer, going to click on the plus sign, be less specific, make sure it's in my external style sheet, and it is. So I'm going to make it smaller than the rest. I'm going to make the font weight bold. Line height, we'll say 1.83. Color, I know the color I want to use. Background color, I'm going to add one. And I'm going to hit apply. And then I'm going to focus on border. If we look back at the example, it just has top and bottom border dashed. Uncheck same for all. Delete, delete, hit apply. There we go. I'm going to save all, and just like that you can see pretty much what I've done. So I'm going to hit preview. You can see you want to make sure all your links are working. And then the last thing that I'm not going to go into detail right now is you'd want to validate it. You would want to make sure that your HTML5 and your CSS validate. So if we go to the final example, if we go to the uploaded example, you'll see that I validated it. I can click on that, and it gives me the one warning about HTML5. If I click on the CSS, once again, no errors found. And so you'll see that the logos are pretty big here that they offer. These are two that I found online that are smaller. So I'm going to copy image location and paste it in here. And that's where you could go if you wanted to download it, or you could just right click right here from the example. Or if you wanted to use these smaller badges, because specifically with HTML5 they don't currently offer you one. So when you go to here and you validate, if you remember from previous videos, they give you a link to it, but they don't give you a badge. So here are two badges you can go ahead and use. You can right click and save to your desktop, put in your images folder, and upload to your server. After you're done using the validation tools and making sure that your code is valid and that you've fixed any errors, it's good to do a final spell check, and you can always do that under commands, check spelling, save your final files, upload them to the EdTech2 server after you've validated it, and then post a copy of the URL to your 502 page. Thanks.